everyone, a very good afternoon. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now with me, Mubina Kafasi. We are seeing a bit of an uptick come by in the market, a recovery attempt if you'd call it that, but still it's a very feeble one because the Nifty is absolutely flat with just a bit of green seen on the screen. Nifty Bank continues to lose unsurprisingly, and you have the Sensex that's just about clocking in some very, very small gains. But broader markets continue to post their outperforming move. But let's kickstart Market Fatafat then. We have with us today on the technicals Gaurav Bisa of LKP Securities, and from the research team Karanya and Viveka joining in. Hi everyone, afternoon, and let's of course kickstart the show with Telecom stocks because of yesterday's big verdict by the Supreme Court where they have dismissed the review petition. Now, obviously, people are seeing it as extremely critical for Vodafone Idea because the management themselves have been quoted as saying that it's going to be extremely difficult to carry on as a going concern if we have to cough up those dues. Now, if you notice Bharti Airtel, though, it is 5.5% of gains over there because naturally Vodafone's loss is Airtel's gain. Reliance Industries as well is gaining perhaps on the back of that market share, that lost market share opportunity to be grabbed by Bharti Airtel and Reliance Industries. But nevertheless, obviously, it's going to put some sort of financial pressure for the balance sheets of all of these companies, that's Airtel and Vodafone Idea, before Airtel can reap the benefits, obviously. I want to also take this opportunity to pull up a Bharti Infratel because that one too is a top Nifty loser, tanking almost 7% in a short while from now. We're going to be talking about the impact on banks as well. But before we do that, Gaurav, take a look at MRF making its way towards the 70,000 rupee mark. What's your view here?
If you look at MRF, we have seen a nice sort of move coming in. There was a breakout at levels of 58,000. But there's a good hurdle. The daily or the weekly charts, a good hurdle at levels of 70,000 mark. So at these levels, if somebody has bought earlier, I would recommend looking out the profit. If somebody wants to have an entry, wait for the towards levels of 58,000. One can keep a stop loss of 1,000 on the upside. One can play for 70,000, 70,000, 71,000. But at the current juncture, I would not be too keen.
All right, MRF is 4.2% higher today in trade. Vivek, Pharma stocks are in focus. What does HSBC have to say?
Well, it's a very positive note coming in from on Pharma as far as HSBC is concerned. What they've actually done is they're quite positive in terms of the entire Pharma pack, and in fact if you're looking at Dr. Reddy, they've gone ahead and upgraded the stock to a buy. What they believe is that at this point of time the base business is something that was seeing so much erosion. The pace of erosion has actually come down. As far as Dr. Reddy is concerned, they believe that Suboxone is something that can scale up quite significantly. On the back of that, they believe further market share gains can be seen, and on the back of this we are expecting no further up move as far as Dr. Reddy's is concerned.
Okay, 2.2% higher for Dr. Reddy's. It's in fact higher, it's now touching the 3,000 rupee mark. And Karanya, we were talking about telecom stocks, and obviously these telecom companies have borrowed heavily. The loans on their balance sheets are extremely high. Which are the banks that have lent to them?
Well, it's a host of private banks. Do remember, public sector lenders are not or do not have so much exposure as far as the telecom space is concerned, whereas banks like an IDFC First, a Yes Bank, an IndusInd Bank, they have an exposure anywhere between 1.5% to 2.2% as far as their loan book portfolio is concerned. So these are the banks that I would like to flag off: an IndusInd Bank, an IDFC First, Yes Bank, and from the public sector lender space, an SBI also, which is reacting quite negatively to this development, given that even that one has a fair amount of exposure to telecom companies.
All right, and those stocks are falling. HDFC Bank, IDFC First, SBI, all of them. Like I said, the Nifty Bank itself is in the red. Now, Reliance Industries, this big boy, will be delivering its third quarter numbers today, and it's an extremely important one for the markets as well, given its high weightage on the Nifty 50. Unsurprisingly, it's going to be the new age businesses. I don't even think we can call them new age anymore. But yes, retail and the telecom business, that's essentially going to be leading the growth for Reliance Industries, bottom line and top line. Petchem and refining margins may be a bit weak, but many are expecting that this will be the quarter where the petchem business more or less bottoms out. So top line is seen at 1.5 lakh crores and the profit after tax is seen at 11,400 crores. Stay tuned to ET now. We'll get you the best analysis as soon as the numbers hit the screens. Okay, Gaurav, let's talk about another pharma stock that's seeing a lot of momentum today in trade. That's Glenmark. You have a buy here. What's the reason?
The daily charts, and there was a small double bottom breakout that we have seen. After that, we saw some amount of consolidation. The stock has now given a triangle breakout, and the volume participation is quite robust. If you look, compare the volumes of today vis-a-vis last few days, and we have seen a decent amount of increment compared to the last few days' volumes. So on that premise, one can buy support would be 354, target 375. If it sustains above the levels of 375, 380, then we are going to see further breakouts, and then it can head towards the level of 400 and above.
Okay, buy and target of 375 for Glenmark. Vivek, let's talk about Max Financial. What is the latest buzz doing the rounds when it comes to this company?
Well, a lot of developments overnight. So number one, this particular stock that was in the news last week on the back of significantly tanking, almost 15 to 20% stock price was eroded in just 2 to 3 trading sessions. Now, what has happened today is that the ET, the Economic Times, has reported that Anil Singh may be looking to sell certain amount of his stake, and Pawan Munjal, backed by P Fund, may be looking to actually come ahead and buy that particular stake. Also, ET reports that this particular stake buy may lead to an open offer getting triggered, and again, this is something that you need to keep an eye out for. UBS has done a case analysis on this particular development. They believe that such a deal will actually help reduce the promoter pledges, and they also believe that at current valuations, the street is factoring in a negative as far as the renewal of Axis Bank tie-up is concerned. UBS believes that the Axis Bank tie-up renewal should come through smoothly, and Axis Bank's tie-up with Bajaj Alliance is something that they are not too worried about. They believe that Axis Bank at this point of time will look to increase the channel partners, and they believe that there's a lot of scope of improvement as far as this particular stock is concerned.
All right, just losing a tad bit, 0.6% gone. And currently it's an earnings heavy day. HCL Tech will as well deliver its numbers. What are we expecting?
Well, Mubina, we're expecting a subdued quarter on all parameters. If you look at the dollar revenue, we're expecting an uptick of about just 2.3 odd % as far as the QOQ improvement is concerned at $2,544 million. Revenue growth is seen higher by 3.5% at 18,154 crores. EBIT could be higher by 1.3% sequentially at 3,542 crores. As far as the margins are concerned, we're expecting a slight compression there on a sequential basis. 19.5% is what we're expecting versus 20% in the previous quarter. PAT growth is likely to be higher by 4%. So largely looks like it could be a muted quarter for HCL.
Okay, 593, absolutely flat right now for HCL Tech. Now, yes, Bank is a stock that continues to go lower in trade. Moody's has downgraded its baseline credit rating as it cites concerns on standalone viability of this company. That's essentially almost casting aspersions when it comes to the continuity of, yes, Bank. 2.4% gone. Stock continues to go lower. It's been sub the 40 rupee mark now, and it has continued to stay at those levels. Okay, Gaurav, anything that you're observing in a stock like a Vinati Organics?
It has a very interesting setup. If you look at the weekly charts, it will give you a better picture. Since the volume participation not that very interesting. You look at weekly chart and look at each move setup. What we call the very bullish zone, cloud area, it has bounced exactly from those areas. It has given a double bottom on weekly charts, given a small double bottom breakout as well. But the breakout levels were at levels of 2050, and we have already seen a move from 1900, 1920 mark, double bottom mark, there was a 2150. So a good part of movement has already been seen. To have a better risk reward, I would recommend buying at the area of 2070, 2080, the stops of 2000 and the target of 2200 and above.
Okay, it's a buy call on Vinati Organics from Gaurav. More or less, he's optimistic on this counter. Okay, we'll take a very short break right here on the show. But before we let you go, if you're a freelancer, you work in the gig economy and you have income that fluctuates every month, then listen in to Pankaj Mathpal of Optima Money Managers advising on what are the prudent practices that every gig worker should ensure they follow to be healthy on the financial front.
When I say gig worker does not mean that they have less income than the salaried individual, but only their cash flow is uneven. Means it's not guaranteed that they will get same income every month. So the best thing is that after working for a few months or few years, once they know that what is their average income, so based on that, they should write their household budget. They should decide that how much they should spend every month, as well as how much should be their income, average income. Means if they can open two bank accounts, very simply, one account where they are getting that income from their clients, and second where they draw their salary. So simply from that account where they're getting a lump sum money, they should transfer a fixed amount every month. So for example, if they know the average income is 1 lakh, but sometime it will be 50,000, sometimes maybe more than 1 lakh, sometime it may be zero also. But when they have more income, that time also they are drawing a fix. It means they have surplus amount left in that account. So in this way, they will be able to manage it a fixed salary every month. So it's the best thing that you apply the law of average and work on this, but discipline is required, because what happens when you have more money, that time you don't think about future and you tend to spend more, and then problem arises.
Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now. Let's continue with that story on telecom stocks. And Vivek, obviously, an entire sector coming under trouble like this would have ramifications on other ancillary sectors as well, one such as Bharti Infratel.
Absolutely right. Bharti Infratel, remember, is the tower infrastructure company, and one of its biggest clients itself is Vodafone Idea. Now, in case this particular Supreme Court verdict ensures that Vodafone either shuts down its operations or is forced to scale down its operations, in that case, what happens to Infratel is that it loses one of the biggest customers that it has. So on the back of that, what Credit Suisse has done is they've downgraded Bharti Infratel. They had an outperform call and it's a double downgrade. Now it's an underperform call. So you're talking about funds exiting Bharti Infratel, a significant overhang in terms of the viability of Vodafone, and overall a lot of weakness to persist because the company loses the pricing power as well in case it becomes a two-player market.
Okay, well, 8.3% gone now for Bharti Infratel. By the way, look at the news coming in over there. Franklin Mutual Fund has said that they've marked down the value of Vodafone Idea debt to zero. I'm assuming this would be the debt mutual funds of Franklin India that essentially do have exposure to Vodafone Idea, that have both the commercial papers perhaps or various other debt instruments of Vodafone Idea. So I suppose that is going to hit the NAVs of the Franklin India debt MFs very, very significantly. So any of you guys watching who do have SIPs or who do have units of Franklin India MF, you may see a hit on your NAV due to this. They've marked down the value of Vodafone Idea debt to zero. Since it's debt, I'm assuming that it will obviously be the commercial papers, etc. So that means it will be on the Franklin India debt funds. Okay, let's move on and talk about L&T Housing Finance, whose numbers are expected today. Karunya, what are we watching out for?
Well, that's the reason why the stock is in focus, Mubina. And as far as the numbers are concerned, we're expecting a flattish growth for the profit figure. We're expecting it to come in at 590 crore rupees. NII is likely to see a good 30% plus growth. Our expectation is of 1590 crore rupees. Do pay attention to the fact that asset quality this time around is likely to be largely steady. We're expecting growth to continue in focused businesses, whereas for defocused businesses, it's likely to contract. AUM growth is seen between 17 to 19% year on year, and NIMs are also largely going to be steady this time around.
Okay, ahead of the numbers, it's high by 0.7%. Where I suppose the earnings, the marker has really come in from Reliance India. Look at the way the sales have surged, the profit after tax have surged, and concomitantly the stock price has surged. The top line growth was at 27%. The profit after tax more than doubled, 174% rise on a year-on-year basis. In fact, this was one of the best performers, or the best performance rather posted by the company in 6 years. And I suppose the story is being reflected on the stock price move as well, 15.5% higher. Moving on, Gaurav, anything that you'd like to recommend traders could do in a Jindal Saw?
If you look at Jindal Saw, it has given a breakout. You can call it the foreign trend line breakout. You can call it the descending triangle breakout. And we have seen the breakouts first level of 88, moved up towards 100 and above. So a good part of that breakout has already been touched upon. There is a strong resistance area of 100, 103. This is a level from where we saw this weekly high coming. Last previous high was also 103. So there is a double top formation sort of happening. So as 103, it is going to see some pressure. So you book profits or you buy above levels of 100, in which case the stop loss can be 97 and the targets can be around 150.
Now, we did see a sharp spike come by in the stock price on an intraday basis to beyond 100 rupees, but it's cooled off from there. Vivek, Z Entertainment, what are you observing here?
Well, this is a very, very interesting stock. Remember, a lot of issues are pertaining to debt, pertaining to repayment worries. A lot of issues have cropped up, weak ad sales, TRAI. But this particular stock that saw a significant amount of downtick, in the last month, has actually started making a quiet comeback. It's still underperforming its peer Sun TV, which has been on a tear. But at this point of time, the stock is up for the 5th straight session, daily seeing marginal gains. And today, there's a very high likelihood that the stock could see some amount of buying activity on the back of the MSCI rejig. So overall, Z Entertainment, to keep it on your radar on the back of MSCI buying.
Okay, well, let's also take a look at Piramal Enterprises. We just had some important news coming in. Essentially, the company's Dutch unit has agreed to divest its stake in the healthcare insights and analytics business Decision Resources Group to a US-based company, and this is for $950 million. So it's quite a big divestment. Piramal Enterprises is the stock we are talking about. This is something that the company announced on an exchange filing. They will be divesting it off to US-based Clarivate, and look at the way the stock price surged on an intraday basis. Gaurav, very quickly, a technical take from you.
It has seen a strong move, but if you look at the weekly charts, again on the Ichimoku setup, it has took a resistance at levels of 1650, which again is a Kijun average, one of the most important average in Ichimoku setup. So as long as it is trading below 1650, I would not be too keen on buying again. Once it holds above 1650, then one can keep a stop loss of 1600 and play for a 750 kind of targets. But at the current juncture, I would not be interested.
0.6% half of Piramal Enterprises. But with that, we'll wrap it up on this edition of the show. So Gaurav, Karanya and Vivek, thank you so much for joining in. Stay tuned. Coming up next is Closing Trades.